Well, hello, hello, hello. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News, and I'm your host, Leticia Remauro. And believe it or not, we're going to be talking about illegal migration again. Could you believe it? Didn't you think that discussion was over? Well, it's over for America for now. But this illegal migration is happening in Spain. Some estimates between 1,500 to 1,500 today alone, 5,000 in total, and others say up to 20,000 people have now rushed the borders from Morocco to Spain to a tiny region called Ceuta, which Spain controls. It's at the tip of Africa, and adjacent to Morocco. And apparently, this Spanish-controlled region is the way that people get into Europe, so that they could, quote, have a better life. And we're going to examine that a little bit today because, as always, we're going to take a look at some of the news reporting and who's reporting it and who's not. But we also want to take a look at the news spin on why this is all happening. So there's a lot to talk about today. But first, I want to say hello to everybody who's with us tonight. And thank you all for coming. What happened? Oh, I don't know what's going on with my computer. Hi, Francine. Good to have you. And Angela Ricca and Kevin Young. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And hopefully the rest of the crew will be jumping on. But in the meanwhile, have any of you heard about this migration from Morocco to Spain? Susan DeRema, how are you? We miss you too. It's always good to have you. Hello, Karen. Good to have you. What the heck is happening with my computer? Something is going on. That's not great. Can you all hear me and see me? I hope so. I keep hearing dingings. Okay, we don't know why. All right, give me a second here, and we'll say hello, Gary. Good to have you. Maybe is it this? I don't know. Okay, so I'm not going to go too crazy here because. All right, we all can hear me and we can all see me. What the heck is going on? Something is annoying my computer. Alexa, off. Hang on a second. Internet is on. Don't know what this is. All right, I'm not going to go crazy. All right, let me start us off. Here is the DW News. Watch.
Well, hundreds of migrants have swum from Morocco to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta, sparking fresh tensions along Europe's southern border. Video footage from Ceuta shows large groups of people coming across the frontier, making their way around the breakwaters to gain entry into the Spanish territory. Now, most of those crossing appeared to be young men, but families, women, and children were also among the arrivals. Some migrants were heard shouting support for Spain as they entered the enclave. Ceuta is a small Spanish territory on the northern coast of Africa, bordering Morocco, and has long been an entry point for migrants seeking to reach Europe.
I think like 1,500 people have crossed over in the past few days, and it doesn't seem the authorities say at the moment that all they can do is attend to the people who are wounded in the crossing or injured, but they're not able to do anything to stop it.
And do we know why is this happening now? Is this mainly about calm summer conditions, or has something changed politically?
I think, the other side of the border in Morocco, there are hundreds, possibly thousands of people who who are looking for a chance to cross. Many of them are fleeing conflicts from far away as Afghanistan or in Western Africa. But as you see in the pictures, most of these people are young Moroccan men. And apparently there's a rumor that the word went out that the gates were open and they could get in, and there'd be no problem getting into Morocco. And this seemed to have triggered this sort of avalanche of people. The situation of young people in Morocco is very bad at the moment. There are about 1.5 million young people aged 15 to 25 who are neither in education nor in work. And they seem to make up, from their pictures, seem to make up the bulk of the people crossing.
Spain's Supreme Court has said that migrants intercepted at sea must be brought ashore and processed. You've got local officials claiming that that ruling has encouraged these crossings. Is that credible?
Yes, it is. I think what they've agreed some time ago, that before they used to basically just send everyone back, even throw them back in the water. And this resulted in, not in Ceuta, but in the other enclave, Melilla, a few years ago in a disaster in which 37 migrants died, apparently at the hands of the security forces. And so basically these people, once they're in Ceuta, they're in Spain, and there's the options for sending them back are very limited.
I understand that.
And they know that.
Ceuta's leader wants a national emergency declared. Madrid so far has refused. Is this here a legal distinction that we're talking about, or is this a political denial that we're seeing?
I'm not sure what a national emergency would amount to. I think that what they obviously need is more as reinforcements, just to actually block the entry of people. I don't think that the government is inclined to announce a national emergency, but obviously it has a big problem on its hands because these people will eventually, quite soon, enter the Spanish mainland and become illegal immigrants.
Does this expose the weakness of Europe's border policy, that Europe depends so heavily on Morocco?
Well, I suppose, obviously it does. If this is a chaotic situation, it is mostly young men. Many of these men will be, in fact, underage, and the Spanish state has an obligation to look after them until they're 18. And the services that offer that are already hugely overwhelmed in cities like Barcelona and Madrid and Valencia.
Okay, I know that was a long clip, but I wanted to get everything in there. So the journalist who's been covering Spain for the last 20 years was saying that the young people in Morocco are not working and they're not in school. And that they're fleeing. They're not only Moroccan, they're using Morocco as a pass-through, but they're, fleeing from Afghanistan and other places. A couple of things you should know, that Morocco right now, let's see if I put it up. Kevin asked, why would they want to go to Morocco to Spain? Is Morocco having problems? So according to this journalist, Morocco is having problems, but according to information put out by Morocco and put out, in the internet, they're in better shape than Spain. Oh, by the way, why did I think that this was important to talk about today? Because you should know that, like the UK, Spain is now being ruled by socialist Democrats. So their form of government is a constitutional democracy with a monarchy. But the party in power right now is the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that the socialists are taking hold all over the Western nations? I think it's interesting. Hello, Ramon. How are you? Good to have you. Hi, Gary. Where are the sharks who took down the shark signs? Yeah, apparently the sharks, were paid off and they're swimming in other waters now. Yes, Trump was right about Spain. Trump is right about everything usually, except for who to vote for in the South Carolina primary to replace Lindsey Graham. I'm voting for Russell Fry. With all respect to Darlene, I don't think that being Graham's sister makes her qualified for being in the Senate. Russell Fry is a good congressman. He's little known. I really wish Pam Evett would have run, but Russell Fry will be my guy. Hi, Kevin Wall from around the other side of the earth, same side of the issues. All right, we're talking about the invasion of Spain and the fact that the Socialist Workers' Party is in control of Spain. And just so that you know, too, and I'm sure you've seen this around, but the Democrat Socialists of America who claim to be representing the working people, 85% of them are white-collar workers, and they work in higher education. So just thought I'd throw that in there. That's the majority of them work in higher education, not all. Yeah, happy birthday, Spain. Okay, so let me just show you. So poverty in Spain. Okay, let's look at the poverty in Spain. So this is by population group, right? So native-born Spanish poverty level is 15.3%. Foreign-born, other EU countries like France and Italy, whatever, who come to Spain, 26.6%. Foreign-born outside the EU, like Moroccans and Afghanis and Middle Easterners, 37.4%. So the poverty level in Spain is pretty high. And as the gentleman just said, the system that is supporting these migrants is collapsing at this point, because now you're looking at about 53% of the poverty rate in Spain is attributed to migration. That's some crazy numbers. That's not what it's supposed to be, right? Democrat socialism doesn't work. Well, Ramon, we all know that, but somebody better tell these people who want it here. I'm glad you agree, Susan. So let's look at Morocco's poverty level, shall we? Because let's listen to what the good man who is covering the news for Spain has to say about Morocco.
It's not clear, really how it can be controlled, except perhaps, extending the fence that goes down to the sea, right into the sea, to make it harder. But I think, you're up against people who are very desperate, who will do anything to get into Europe. And as we've seen, thousands drowning in the Mediterranean over recent years to escape poverty and conflict.
Mr. Burgess.
Poverty and conflict. So they're escaping poverty and conflict. So we just established that if they go to Spain, there's a 53% chance that they're going to wind up in poverty. But if they were in Morocco, here's your numbers. Approximately 3.9 to 4.8% of Morocco's population lives below the national monetary poverty line, depending on the specific reporting year and evaluation metric. Okay, so the national poverty line is at 3.9% according to recent data. Multidimensional poverty dropped from 11.9 to 6.8 over a recent 10-year tracking period, reflecting broader deprivations in living standards, health, and education. Historical context down significantly from historical above 15% during previous decades as part of a broader shift in the economy of Morocco. So the economy of Morocco is actually better than the economy of Spain. Now, could it be that all of the people who don't want to work left Morocco and went to, I don't know, let's say Europe, other countries who have a very generous social payout if you don't work? Could that be why Morocco's economy improved and Spain's economy didn't? I don't know. Just a thought, something to think about. Why would they leave if their country's doing better economically than Spain? Why would they leave? Because they're useful idiots. He's talking about the people who want socialism. So many countries are not being self-governed. Oh yeah, that is a brilliant statement right there, Kevin. This is so true. So true. CNN report those figures on Morocco. No, that wasn't. That was actually artificial intelligence. I got that information through AI. So it can be very helpful if you ask the right questions. And of course, we know that about 99% of the population in Morocco is Muslim, which is interesting because Spain traditionally was a Catholic country. I say traditionally because over the last decade or so, it has changed considerably. And that is due to the Muslim migration into Spain. Same with the UK. The Muslim migration into the UK has created, same with Canada, a scenario where it's the Muslim religion is taking hold in these countries and rapidly increasing to the point that a lot of the UK's and a lot of Spain and France's cities are now being governed by Muslims. These are countries that were traditionally Catholic or Christian. And now Sharia law is being adopted in many of these countries. It doesn't make sense to me that people would leave Morocco, where the economy is pretty good, to go to Spain. Why are these kids not working? Why are they? It's not that there's no jobs. Why are they not working? Tourism in Morocco is good. They're spreading out worse than Nazi Germany. Yeah, Gary. Yeah. They have a playbook, right? That they can go by, and they're using it. The conditions in Morocco are not good. Okay, explain that. Do you live in Morocco? Are you in Morocco? Do you have people in Morocco? Tell us about the conditions in Morocco. I just gave you the numbers of who lives below the poverty line and who doesn't. Spain. Oh, you live in Spain. Okay, so tell me about Morocco. Because, and I can only go by the reports that Morocco puts out, right? They're talking about 4% of people only live below the poverty line, where in Spain, the impoverished are much higher. And those who are coming into Spain, 26% of people who migrate from the EU are living below the poverty line. And other than migration from EU, is over 30% living below the poverty line. So if you live in Spain, give us what you understand about the conditions in Morocco. Because according to reporting, the people living below the poverty line in Morocco are much less than in Spain. But unemployment statistics are not accurate in Morocco. Do you work in Morocco? I mean, and I just need to know, are you telling me that the Moroccan government is cooking the books to make things look better? That's what I'd like to know. And if you're saying that, things in Morocco are not good, I'm asking you, then why the people who migrate to Spain are mostly working as domestics and living below the poverty level? That's what I'm asking. Simple question. I mean, it's the same in America. People leave other countries and then they're living below poverty. Here, they're being supported by the government, and that's not what you want. When you have people migrate to your country, you want them to bolster your country. You want them to do great things in your country. You don't want them living off government. Many come and government gives them aid. Yeah, well, okay, so they're coming for the aid. They're not coming to work because they're living below the poverty line. Now you're saying you're saying unemployment in Morocco is high, but apparently it's also high in Spain because these people who are migrating to your country are not working. You're giving them government aid. So how is that helping Spain? How does that help you? Just simple question. I mean, what is the unemployment in Spain? Let's see. We can only unemployment in Spain versus Morocco. Let's see what it says. Spain has a slightly higher unemployment rate than Morocco, recorded at approximately 9.87% in the second quarter of 2026, compared to Morocco's rate of around 10.8. Okay, so I don't know. Crux, I don't know. You guys don't seem to be in a better position than Morocco when it comes to employment. So I would like to posit this. Could it be you're being invaded like America was invaded? The answer is yes. And who is helping to invade your country and why? That becomes the question. Well, here's a theory.
Back in 2021, Morocco was accused of using migration pressure during a dispute with Spain. Is there any evidence that migration is again being used as leverage?
There isn't any evidence at the moment, but it's true. It has happened various times, particularly because Morocco has a dispute with Spain over the territory of the Sahel, and they have certainly in the past used immigration as a tool in their diplomatic war.
So it looks like politics might have a role here, as it did in America. Facial expressions are priceless. These guys, the DW guys, yeah, they really are. And also the migrants. The interesting thing is if you look closely, it's like when they came through the Darien Gap. Remember when they came through the Darien Gap to America and they were all clean? They had clean pressed shirts and they were freshly showered, and they all had cell phones. And we later came to find out that American taxpayers were paying for the charities to support this illegal migration to America. Remember what they look like? That's what these Moroccans seem to, or these immigrants or illegal migrants look like coming over. They have flippers, and they had swim suits, scuba gear, which is expensive. Um, Some had just tubes, but yeah, they came out the other side and they were looking pretty damn good. I mean, some were injured, but it goes back to, is this a move to invade the Western culture and to annihilate the Western culture worldwide? And everything that I'm seeing is pointing to that. And I wish Crux 6386 would come back and have a conversation, because we could Google all we want, right? But he or she lives there. So they're just like we have nuances here that we know about as Americans. Maybe he or she could share that with us, but it seems like he just popped in to tell us how bad things were in Morocco. So unbelievable, but we saw it. Yeah, it was unbelievable, and we did see it, and we can't forget it. Maybe a way to take over Spain and force it to become part of Morocco. Well, it feels like, right, Morocco, they have some disputes over land. So, I mean, Trump had said it in the past that there are countries that will open up their jails and their insane asylums and help those people migrate out of their country, because the burden for them to take care of them is off, and it screws with the other country. They all have phones, watches, jewelry, money. Yes, Kevin. Yes. Crux is back. They don't just arrive through Ceuta. They arrived through the Canary Islands too. I remember that from 2006. Oh yes. They arrive in a host of different ways. The question, though, is who is supporting their arrival, and why are they going? And what happened in Africa and Morocco and Venezuela and you name it, the Middle East, before the war? What happened 10 years ago that so many Muslim young men migrated from the Middle East and Africa to the European countries? And why are they all, I'm not all, but approximately 50%. I think if I Google what percentage of migrants in Spain are living below the poverty line, we're going to see the same numbers. Canada, United States, I think we're going to see the same numbers. It's all going to be about 50%. So they're not coming for a better life. They're leaving. They're leaving for a purpose, and they're sacrificing themselves for a purpose. And I believe that purpose is nefarious. Crux is saying there are mafias. Yes, but are they being forced by the mafia? No, usually the mafia is the ones that are facilitating them, but you got to pay them back. Some people make a lot of money. They deceive people. Yeah, to the Canary Islands, I remember that they came deceived, believing they were reaching Europe. Okay. So the question is, and you're living in Spain. So tell me, what percentage of, how has Spain changed since this mass migration of Muslims into the country? Is Catholicism still the religion of most Spaniards, or have things changed? How is it living under a socialist working party government? What's going on with that? U.S. is too powerful to be taken over by socialists, communists, and Democrats. I would say that you're right, but they once said that about Germany. They once said that about Venezuela. They said it about Cuba for sure. We all said it about the UK, and look what's going on there. I don't put anything past anybody. Hi, Colleen. We live in strange times, and we need to recognize that we live in strange times. They are all army age. And what is the gun laws in Spain? Hold on. What are the gun laws in Spain? I'm interested. Gun laws in Spain are strict and managed exclusively by the state, primarily through the Guardia Civil. Civilian firearm ownership is generally limited to hunting, target shooting, and collecting rather than personal self-defense. I think that's the same in the UK. How about Italy? Let's see. Italy regulates gun ownership through strict licensing. So, here's your situation. It's only in America that you can just really have guns. Germany has strict gun control laws managed through the National Weapons Act, meaning there is no constitutional right to bear arms. America is it. America for the win. What are the gun laws in Morocco? Let's see. Gun ownership in Morocco is strictly prohibited for the general public, tightly regulated by the Ministry of the Interior, and limited to licensed hunting rifles, sports shooting equipment, and rare personal protection permits. So, isn't this interesting? The migration going to places that can't defend themselves. First you get rid of the guns, then you get rid of the votes, right? And they get the guns, and then people get on trains. I believe this is an orchestrated effort to topple the Western world. Wait till China starts dumping their destitute all over. Gary, I'm with you 100%. They're already, China was sending people here. Not their destitute, though. Military age men. Problems there. Iran, too. Americans here are willing to fight. Oh, absolutely. I was thinking today while Trump was giving those veterans the accelerated license to drive tractor trailers, I was thinking that next he needs to what's the word? Induct us old people who want to be part of the military into the United States militia. Nobody is happy with the current president. He's in power without an absolute majority because he's made a pact with anti-Spanish separatist parties. Oh, so here we go, right? So how do you get in? This is, here we go. This is, yeah. But what can you do about it becomes the problem. I mean, at least here in America, we're allowed to own guns. So if the government gets too crazy, we can take it out, with our vote first, and then if we have to. But what do you guys do? I mean, it looks like this is such a move to invade countries without guns. They just military age Muslim men and women come into the country and start taking over. Just look at the United Kingdom. I'll say it a million times. It isn't the UK anymore. We don't know what it is. It's crazy. We have the weapons to fight. We do indeed. All right. Well, once again, we're over. But I wanted to make sure you saw this. I know if some of you, if you watch Fox, you'll see it. But and then the 12 of you that were watching tonight can see it from me. Watch this story. Let's see if it was a political strategy from Morocco to gain what it wants from Spain, or let's see if it is truly just coincidence, which I don't think it is. Poland does not have that problem. Which problem? Hungary does not have. They don't want engineers. Okay, I mean the socialist problem, right? Germany, but it did. Hold on. What? Wait, what type of one party rules? Germany now is conservative, right? And so is Poland. But first, Crux. But first, they were moving in the socialist direction a decade ago, both of them. But the people said absolutely no, and they voted in the conservatives. So it seems like the socialism doesn't work for a long period of time. But my concern is that if it's a concerted effort throughout the Western culture, if more, you might have a handful of countries that are then not taken over, and they may not be powerful enough to resist if all the other countries get together. And that's what the socialists want. I mean, they want that for North and South America. They want one unified continent here, and they want everybody to they want a socialist government in one unified continent: Canada, America, and then all the countries in South America. And I'm not going to name them because I'm terrible with geography, but yeah, that's what they're looking for. Because they're looking for a new world order, and they're serving the global elites. Let's see what else we got going on. It's been their insane agenda to take over. Absolutely, it has been, Susan. They have no guns in the UK. No, they don't. And that's the way it is. Good night. Good night, Gary. Or doctors. Yeah. When I was in Germany, there were more Muslims than in Spain. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Well, and I think that they were finally fed up, and that's how things turned. And wait, is that recently? But like I said, they were invaded first, and many of those who come to Spain come with the idea of traveling around Europe. Yes, that I know. They use Spain as the gateway to Europe. So the question is that are the Muslims invading, trying to remove Western culture from the globe without raising arms, without shedding blood, if you will? Something that we all need to think about, because it's been too coordinated. And as I said, Germany had that issue, and so did Poland, and they changed leadership to stop it. Same thing with Sweden. Sweden, who never had crime, has an enormous amount of crime now because of migration, and it was mostly Muslim migration. So there's something that's not kosher, let's say, happening around the world, and we are going to keep talking about it until we get to the bottom of it. And in the meantime, we're going to stand firm and stand our ground. Thanks all for joining me this week. Love spending time with you. If anything interesting happens over the weekend, I'll certainly hop back on. It was great to discuss this with you today, and I'm glad. The only thing I'm going to say is I'm glad it's not us. We've had our share. Love you all. I will see you on Tuesday, if not sooner. Bye-bye.